I hit record like this. Okay. So now we're being recorded because I actually see the timer going. I do remember how to do this, and then I push this button right here.
You and Chris are going to be in here talking about God knows what.
Gosh, ever since we took the cameras away, you can do that. Hey, my brother, how are you?
I'm great, man.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm kicking it.
It's been a bit since we've been here.
It has.
Ladies and gentlemen, just right off the bat, welcome to...
The Butch and Chris Show.
The Butch and Chris Show.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that basically what we're going to be talking about on this episode it's kind of what's been going on and the reason for the changes and what you have to look forward to in the future.
Oh.
Which is Tom.
You will look forward to it.
You will. Oh, you're going to look forward to it, man.
You're going to love it.
You're going to love it. Or,
Maybe.
Yeah, or maybe. And so just right off the bat, just the name change.
Yes.
And so I want to spend some time talking about that. And just for anybody who wants to throw blame, it's totally me.
It is, but that's cool. I mean, I was feeling the pressure also.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even dealing with all the crap you were dealing with.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. So as for those of you tuning in, expecting to hear another episode of the Retro Show, let me explain what happened and the reason why I didn't start a new podcast. We just changed the name of this one. Is one, the Retro Show kicked off in May of 2023.
Yep.
And the idea behind it was to just talk about growing up, like we did in the 70s and 80s. It was Chris.
Homage.
And homage. I just wanted you to be able to say that one more time. To growing up. And it was. And then the idea was that, let's start doing a podcast about our state of Arkansas. Okay, so we started putting the everything in motion for that to the point where I even bought a domain name. We did a couple of, and we actually recorded an episode. That's going to change, obviously, to this show. But we were going to call that show Talking Arkansas. And so, but then I had the bright idea back in January of this year, 2024, to, start doing video. And you'll notice this one's not being videoed.
Nope.
And so, I don't know why I did that.
It was fun.
It was a good idea.
It was fun for a little while.
It was a good idea at the time, I think, and then it wasn't. And because I'm going to tell you right now, video production, folks, is a lot more work than audio production. So, there was kind of that aspect of it.
So basically, what Butch is telling you is he put out.
Yeah. Why do you make me work? Why do you make me work? Jeez Louise, man.
Hey, for the record, I didn't say, Butch, let's do video. I just came in here one time and you said, we're doing video. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I've always said I'm a prima donna. I just show up, I record, and I go. I drink his beer, and I go home.
That's what he does, ladies. That's accurate. But sometimes I drink your beer.
That's true. I mean... We've been in this game a long time.
We've been in this game a long time. If I have food, friends. Chris has food. If I have beer, Chris has beer.
Yeah, vice versa.
And that's just the way it goes.
Dude, next month, we get to go rock out at the hall.
Oh, that's going to be fun, isn't it?
It is going to be a blast.
Zach Sabbath.
Yeah.
So,
which cracked me up when I heard it, but
which, by the way, Ryan's going with us. By the way,
is he really?
Yeah,
sweet.
That's going to be fun. You know the other opening acts for Zach Sabbath. Okay, dude, this is going to be a fun night. Besides the fact that you and I are going to be there along with the Clegg brothers and Joe.
And Joe.
I'm just telling you, if you hear reports on the news,
it's probably untrue.
It's probably maybe a grain of truth to it, but it's the Iron Maidens, which is an all-female Iron Maiden tribute band opening up. And if they have the guitarist that they sometimes have, which is Nita Van Strauss, it's going to be good.
I'm in.
And Zozo, a Led Zeppelin tribute.
Dude, we've already bought the tickets.
I know.
I'm going.
But I'm just telling you what you got in store for you. So
I will be attempting to reach an alternate universe that
yeah. Hello, Tokyo. Hello, Tokyo. But anyway, back on topic just a little bit here. I do want to talk about, first of all, the name change. We got started on that. So the idea was that we were going to do 2 podcasts. It became apparent that due to workload and everything else, I was having trouble keeping up with one podcast. And so I had an epiphany, which, by the way, that's your $5 word for the day, that, you know what, let's just do a reset. Let's change the name of the podcast, and let's make it the Butch and Chris Show, which it kind of always was.
Yeah.
Anyway, but now we have kind of freedom to talk about whatever we want to talk about.
You know, and I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
We don't have any show notes in front of us tonight.
No, we don't.
This is freeloading.
What do we call that? The Willy Vanilli kind of thing?
It's a Willy Vanilli show.
It's a Willy Vanilli show. But no, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about that, about why the name change and everything, and the fact that we are going to be talking about the state we're in. Arkansas, we're going to be talking about some things that might be local. And for those of you of our producers who joined us, who, wanted us to hear talk about just retro type stuff, no hard feelings if you don't want to come on the party train on this. But, we're just going to be us. I want you to think of this, folks, as morning radio that you can listen to anytime. Yeah, kind of like that. And so we're going to have a bunch of different topics. Next week is going to be our time spent with Craig O'Neill, who is an Arkansas celebrity. And you'll get to hear his story. Now, he's been on a previous episode before, but it was talking about just radio in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. He's going to be talking about his life story. That's the next episode.
He's had an interesting life.
He's had a very interesting life.
Yeah. Yes.
And that was a very fun interview to do, too. And then the next one is one that we were honored to do in 2 weeks' time from the time you hear this one. You're going to get to sit down and listen to 2 World War II veterans talk about their time in the Pacific Theater. These guys, at the time of the recording, were both 98 years old.
That's insane.
And
it's still getting around, Jack.
It's still getting around, and it was an absolute honor. Chris does the interview on this one. It is. I'm sitting over here, and that, by the way, is going to be one that we do upload the video in its entirety to our YouTube page, and so you'll want to check that out. But let me go ahead and tell you how you can get in touch with the podcast. Chris, we got a new website.
Really?
Yeah. It's butchandchris.com. We got the .com, dude. We got the .com.
Well, we're moving on up. Woo!
Yeah.
So this house cleaning stuff's got to stop for a second, because I have come up with a random idea on the fly. You gave them a $5 word a while ago.
I did.
And I'm going to give them several definitions for that. Just because we're here for public service.
I'm all about education.
It's a public service.
Isn't it about the children?
And that $5 word that he gave y'all, and y'all have short-term memory loss, it happens. Epiphany.
Epiphany.
Okay.
That's a big word.
It is. The very first one is the manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles is represented by the Magi.
True.
That is true. Now, I think the one that we're going to go with is the very last one, because there's 4 others and they're all similar. A moment of sudden revelation or
That's it.
insight.
That it is. It was an epiphany.
You know what? You get entertained and educated at the same time.
You know, and where else can you get that for $3 a month? Which leads me to, by the way, one of the things that's staying the same is we still have producers.
We do. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I know. And these are the wonderful people who support the Butch and Chris Show. I'm going to screw up at least once and call it the old name. With a monthly contribution of $3. Chris, kick it off.
Terry Shots.
Terry Shots, thank you. And the next one, because you love this one. Kate Salter. Yeah. Roger McDougal.
Well, I'll tell you, Roger, how's the company going?
Roger Dodger.
Melinda Hicknight.
Thank you, Melinda. Dusty Breeze. Good old Dusty Breeze.
I wouldn't put up with it.
I know.
Kevin Goff.
Thank you. Chris B, thank you very much.
Nancy Schwartz.
Nancy. Joshua Ramsey.
Oh, Josh. Just off the trail.
Fran Adams. Fran. E.M.
Bradford. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's Donna's husband.
That's Donna's husband.
Yeah, Donna's husband. And Tanya Highland, our first ever producer.
Yep.
And with eternal love to Linda and Stephen. Thank you ever so much.
Folks, I'm just going to throw this out there. We lost 2 producers in the month of
more than that.
Yeah.
Especially for you, brother.
LNC Corporation was always my mother.
Mm-hmm.
My mother always backed everything me and my brother did. Didn't matter what it was. I ain't paying $3 a month. It's 12 months times 3, 36. She'd write a check.
She wrote a check. Which I never cashed, by the way. I never put it in the bank.
And then Stephen was Norton.
It was Norton.
And that was my first cousin. And they passed away 2 days apart.
Yeah.
And I will miss them greatly. And that's why it says with eternal love.
Yep.
So,
and it will for every episode we ever do. So, man, there you go.
For folks out there that are listening to this that knew my mother, she was one of a kind.
She was.
And so was
so many funny stories. You know what cracked me up is Runner She Passed. You and I was in England at the time, and you and I were sending some messages back and forth. But the one that cracked me up is that when you told me about when you'd told her and she's in the midst of her battles and stuff like this, and that one of our friends had a motorcycle wreck.
Oh my God.
I don't know why that boy's riding that motorcycle. He's going to get out there and get killed. I mean, still being a mama to all of us who grew up around her.
It was one of the twins.
Yeah.
And when they would always come to my house and they rode motorcycles.
Yeah.
Both of them. They had Yamaha?
I can't remember. Yeah.
Kawasaki 80s.
Those little
Kawasaki
trail bikes.
80s just... Yeah, here they'd come, and my mom, that boy's going to get killed on that motorcycle every time. And as soon as I told them that one of them was in the hospital because he wrecked his motorcycle, I told them both.
I told both them boys. I could just hear it. I can hear it now. So
for true story.
But yeah, butchandchris.com is where you can go to get that. The old website still works. It just goes to the new page.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you got skills, bro.
Dude, I have mad skills. It's like, maybe I should make a career out of that. Oh, wait. I did. Thank you very much.
He's that guy that walks in your office and goes, move.
Actually, that's very true right now. It's a big project where I have to go into people's office and say, move. But I'm usually a little nicer than that. I'm an IT guy, and sometimes, I have to do IT stuff.
What else?
Well, as far as the name change goes, I think we hit all the high points on that.
Are there any low points?
I don't think there's going to be a low point.
Perfect.
Like I said, I forward sold the upcoming episodes, which is nice to be able to do. Another one that I want to do is that you had an interview with one of the top disc golf players, 2 of them in the world, and so we are a future episode very soon. We want to sit down with a couple of folks who have a disc golf course here in Central Arkansas that may be one of the top courses in the world.
It's number 6.
It's number 6 in the world.
Number 3 in the nation.
Number 3 in the nation. So, yeah, really cool things going forward. Like I said, we're very proud of our state. We're proud of where we come from. Are we still going to be doing retro type episodes? Yes, because that's a part of who we are. It's a part of growing up, but it's not going to be the only thing.
No. There is going to be a bikini contest for any applicants that want to show up.
I'm going to be...
no cameras. We're not going to film anything.
I'm going to have a wet T-shirt contest, which I plan to win. So...
Yeah.
See, and aren't they thankful for no video now?
Right.
Now you're glad we stopped the video, aren't you?
Everybody is.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we have to talk about something else.
They've gone off the rails.
Chris, it's been hard to be a Hog fan this season. It's had its ups and downs.
It's not any harder than it normally is, Butch.
You know what? That's a very true statement. But last weekend was so rough, dude. That loss to Ole Miss was just brutal.
Yeah, in more ways than you know.
That was brutal.
A really good friend of mine that I went to school with down in Texas he's from Jackson.
Yeah,
he graduated from Ole Miss, so that's a big rivalry every year.
It is, but man, that was they beat our butts. There's no other way to put that. I don't know where our defense was, but I don't think they were in the stadium.
Well, I've been saying it for 2 or 3 years now. If they don't either get a coach that can coach a secondary, or if that's not the problem, get some new secondary, because they just scored at will.
They did. They ran all over them. For those who know what we're talking about, Ole Miss beat Arkansas 63-31, which is like I
think their cheerleaders were playing when we scored there at the end. They put everybody in. It was crazy.
It was nuts. Well, next week we got Texas coming up. And for those of us from the old Southwest Conference days, a big game. So I had my fingers crossed on that one. So hopefully it won't be too terrible. But anyway, that's your Arkansas Razorback football moment of this episode. We got basketball to talk about, too.
They do. Evidently, they won last night. I think that was last night.
Yeah.
They actually.
Yeah, they did win.
I've never heard of the college they played, but they won.
They never won. Which you expect early on in the season for basketball. But, Chris, a couple of headlines to read to you here. 43 monkeys on the loose after escaping South Carolina facility. Police in a small
Is that the University of South Carolina? Is that?
No, this is actually a facility. It's good. Small South Carolina town are warning residents to keep their doors and windows locked after 43 monkeys escaped from a research facility. The Yemassee Police Department issued an alert confirming that 43 primates had escaped Wednesday night from the Alpha Genesis facility in Beaufort County. I've seen this movie. It doesn't end well.
Have you seen Cocaine Bear?
No. Have you seen? Did you actually watch it?
Yes.
Okay, tell me a story.
I can't.
Is it pretty much just what the name implies?
Yes,
a bear on cocaine.
It is. Well, I mean, the smugglers somehow, I can't remember what happened, but they ended up having to push their load out over the mountains, and the bear gets into the cocaine, and he's addicted. And he is just ravaging everybody. I laughed a lot. I did.
Oh man,
I did. And
Cocaine Bear.
It's pretty gory, and but it's worth drinking a few margaritas and watching Cocaine
and watching Cocaine Bear.
Don't do it with a straight head.
Don't do it expecting high cinema. Is what you're saying. No. It's probably meant to be fun. So
good Lord.
So I'm trying to think. I haven't been to any movies lately, but I did go to
one.
I have not watched anything on television really a lot lately. YouTube has totally changed my viewing
I don't
habits.
I don't have YouTube, so I didn't know it totally changed.
Yeah, but I watch, like, you talk about the fat electrician and stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that, because you turned me on to that guy. It's like one of the best military history podcasts that you'll find out there.
His shorts is where I started with him, and they were really good. He talks about every MOS you can possibly think of in the military, and they're 2 to 3 minutes long, and the way his delivery is impeccable. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's really good. Okay, since we're on this rabbit and chasing it, another guy, there's a couple of other guys I want to. One is Matt Mitchell.
Yes, love.
I love Matt Mitchell's stuff. He does SEC roll call, and he does one where he tests different foods and drinks and stuff like that on there. And he actually started off on It's a Southern Thing, and he left them and went on his own. And he's absolutely hilarious. And the other guy that I watch is Justin Danger Nunley.
I like Nunley too.
Nunley is absolutely hilarious.
I've still got to get one of his shirts, man.
Yeah, the Big Deborah.
Big Deborah instead of Little Debbie. He's got
I don't
Big
think
Deborah
I could
shirts.
get by with that one. For reasons that may be obvious.
I think you can.
Why are you trying to get me hurt? Yeah. And the other guy we've actually played on an episode here, a guy named Chris Biggs, that does all the stuff about. He gives bad advice to men on how to, how to manage your woman. Which no, that's probably a bad idea to try to manage.
The people that try to manage their women are usually categorized as divorcees.
Yes, exactly. I think that's very accurate.
Or deceased.
What I like, and this leads me into this role right here, is these guys, and I'm about to tick off a lot of guys too that probably listen to this and think of themselves this way. Well, I'm an alpha male. No, you're a jerk, and you decided to label it in a way that benefits you. So every guy that ever has identified himself as an alpha male, I've thought of as a jerk.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Ted Nugent included? And I love Ted Nugent.
I do, but yeah. He's kind of made a career out of it. So, if it works for you, that's fine. It kind of goes back to that thing. I can appreciate their art and stuff like that, but one-on-one, that'd probably drive me nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
one person that I always wanted to sit down and just talk to for a little while?
Who's that?
And it's going to surprise you. I think it probably surprised a lot of people, but I always wanted to sit down and just have a conversation.
Richard Simmons.
Michael Jackson.
Oh, Michael Jackson. Yeah.
Dude, that kid, I mean, he was a grown man, but his childhood was jacked up.
It was messed up. Well, obviously, so, it kind of affected everything from that point forward.
I think so, but I would have liked to have had a conversation with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it'd be cool.
Being the Van Halen fan that I am, I've often said, I prefer the David Lee Roth era, but I think I would probably get along with Sammy Hagar a lot better than I would David Lee Roth.
Maybe.
Just saying. Yeah.
I mean, that is a definite. When I say maybe, that's a definite maybe.
That's a definite possibility. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Possibility. Yeah. But
election week came and went.
It did, and here's all I have to say about that. If you are on the winning side, show some grace and humility, because it makes you look better than the people who don't. And if you are one of these people that's throwing a screaming conniption fit right now,
you're gonna be fine.
You're gonna be okay.
You're probably gonna be better off than you were.
Yeah.
You just don't even realize it yet.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just like the rhetoric has been ramped up to a point now.
It's unbelievable.
Where it's just stupid.
It is. It is unbelievable.
And
these people think the world's going to end,
and it's not. I promise you, everything's going to be fine. And that's without getting political. I'm just going to tell you, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I've done when my guys lost? I went to work.
Yeah, me too.
And I didn't worry about it. Because you can't. What are you going to do?
You're not.
So anyway, so yes, election came and went, and there you go.
And I'm happy to not see a campaign ad.
I am so, we weren't as overrun with them here as some states were. I've got friends that were in swing states. It said like every ad was just, now in 2 years, locally, you're going to see a lot because we have like 12 state elections coming up that year.
Perfect.
So, yeah, get ready. 2 years.
I can't wait.
I can't wait to see the political ads. I just love them. There's a couple of funny ones out there that I've seen. There were this guy, it's like a parody of political ads, but it's just spot on. But yeah, everybody gets sick of those, I think, pretty quickly.
How was your trip?
Okay, so let me tell you a story. The trip we took was to England, and it was actually originally scheduled for 2020. And what happened was COVID-19.
What had happened was
is we couldn't go nowhere. And so, because England just said, no, we're sorry, nobody's getting in for a while. Thank you. And so, so this was the make good trip on that. I haven't had a chance to really just sit down and talk with you since. So
you have. I mean, we haven't talked since you've been back. So,
I took like 500 photos while I was there. So I mean, I documented everything. But let me tell you something to not do. I'm going to give you guys some tips if you're taking a trip anywhere
out
overseas.
to LA, tootling along in my Chevrolet.
If you're going to be crossing a lot of time zones, don't do what I did. Because I had a genius idea, and a lot of my genius ideas wasn't. So let me tell you what I did, Chris.
Tell me.
So we left on a Friday to fly out. We were going to be leaving at leaving Little Rock at around noon, and connecting flight and all that stuff in Dallas, and basically getting to England at what would have been 12:30 here, but 6:30 in the morning there. You with me so far? Mm-hmm. There's a 6-hour difference. So
12:30 a.m.
Yeah, it was when we arrived, but it was 6:30 there. So I had the genius idea. I'm going to wake up at 3 in the morning, so I'll be able to sleep all the way over. Chris, I didn't sleep 1 wink all the way over. So when we landed, I've already been up like 20 hours. Great. So here's how the day went. So it's 6:30 in the morning there when we land, and I say 12:30 because it was 12:30 here. But so I'm over there now at 6:30 in the morning local time, and we still have some traveling to do. So we land in London, get on a train to London, Paddington Station, get on another train to go to Bath, England, okay, where we're going to stay for about 3 days. So by the time we get to Bath, it's noon there local time. And long story short, I told Debbie, I said, I got to keep moving because if we sit down, I'm going to sleep, for any length of time. I will go out like a light. So we are active all the time. We do a tour of the local abbey there that was like a medieval abbey built in like 1066 and stuff like that, and climbed up in which, by the way, they sold us on doing a tour of the bell tower, which was a mistake because then after they sell you the tour, it's 200 steps. And it's basically vertical on steps that were carved in the Middle Ages when people had tiny feet. So I'm just telling you, there's no way they could have sold that over here because of insurance reasons. But anyway, we do that. I got some spectacular views from Bath Abbey, saw how they rung the bells and all that stuff. So long story short, we go get something to eat. We go to the pub. We meet a very nice couple there who kind of gives us some local pointers and stuff of where to go and what time to do it and all that kind of things. By the time I go to sleep that night, Chris, I've been up for 35 hours. I haven't done that since like college. And when I tell you that by the time...
Were you hallucinating?
Dude, no, but let me tell you what was. Everything was hilarious. Everything. Debbie and I, and it's not like Debbie was much better off. She slept in, quote unquote, but she's been up 31 hours. So by the time we go to bed, we're laughing at everything, which is better than the alternative because then you're either laughing at everything or you're biting each other's heads off. Right. And so everything's just hilarious. And so she gets a quick shower, I get a quick shower, and I'm not making this up. I think before my head ever hit the pillow, I was already out. Oh. And so that kind of helped get us on the local time there because we slept all night long. And so Bath, for those of you who don't know, little history lesson there. It was it was before the Romans got there. It was still kind of a place where people went. It's because hot springs bubble up there. It's the only place in Britain where they do. And so the Romans built a bath there, and that's why it's called Bath. And the whole city came up around. It was a Roman outpost. And that's one of the cool things you can do is they unearthed the old Roman baths there, where you can tour those and see all of the stuff that they pulled up. It was a temple to Minerva. And so it was, there's a lot of like.
She a local chick?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, she was an Italian girl around the Olympus area. She was kind of like the local Roman goddess of that area.
Gotcha.
And so, then we toured an area called the Cotswolds, which was one of the reasons I really wanted to go. The Cotswolds.
Okay.
And so, it's basically a part of England that looks like it did 400 years ago because, yeah, exactly. And it looks like it did 400 years. It's beautiful scenery there. Gorgeous scenery. Maybe the best scenery ever.
Oh my God!
Anyway,
I love it with no cameras in here.
I do too. So we go back to London, and we do the London tourist thing. We did Tower of London, which is
see the Crown Jewels.
Yes, we toured and we saw the Crown Jewels.
Really and truly, since going to jewelry
and I'm going to go ahead and break this out now. My only negative of the whole thing was okay.
I wanted to say something real quick.
What's that?
I just said I've always wanted to see them since I was in jewelry school in Texas.
Yeah, dude,
I would love to see them.
You would love that.
Go ahead, anyway.
Well,
break it out.
So Debbie asked a question of this guard there, and what she asked is because there are some things in there that are replicas. Uh-huh. And Debbie asked, "Well, is everything in there the actual crown?" And she just condescendingly rolled her eyes at Debbie and said, "Oh, I can't believe that you asked that." I said, "Or you could not be a witch." Mm-hmm. And she kind of gives me an eye. I said, "Do we need to call a supervisor? You just talked to my wife?" And apparently we didn't. So, yeah, that's the only negative. But we, we toured the Crown Jewels.
There's a big stone, a big diamond.
Mm-hmm. Star of India?
No. It's and I can't remember the name of it now.
Dude, well, they had that in there.
It's a big oval.
Yeah. And, dude, there's some big, giant gemstones.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Amazing.
I keep wanting to say the Corinthian one, but I know that's not right.
But anyway, yes, you would have found everything very fascinating.
Yeah.
In there. But Tower of London's really cool. A lot of history in there. A lot of English drama played out in there. It's built around the time of William the Conqueror in 1066. From there, we went to Westminster Abbey. And here's the cool thing about Westminster Abbey is that they bury their people in the floor of the church.
Sweet.
And, then you have all these other tombs with the monarchs and stuff. I mean, literally all these people you read about in English history, they're in these tombs there, So, you're kind of taking advantage of the fact there's no cameras now. I'm just being honest with you. But anyway, there's all of these English history people, but the people buried in the floor was the ones that's I was like, holy cow. So let me look in the floor, and Rudyard Kipling is buried there, the guy that wrote the Jungle Book.
Really?
Yes. Next to him, Charles Dickens. Up above him is George Frederick Handel, who did Handel's Messiah. C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, buried there. And then you look over here, and here's Laurence Olivier, buried over there. And I mean, it's just a who's who of English people that you've read about or you've read their stuff.
So this is kind of like the Hollywood Walk.
It is. It is like, and there's only one grave that doesn't get walked on there, and that's the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and it's cordoned off. Nobody walks on that, which I think that's awesome.
Me too.
But he was a soldier who his remains were not identified from World War I, who was buried there. And so that's their Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And so Westminster Abbey was really fascinating. And in that whole area, like right across the street is their Parliament building.
Did they tell you how they decide who's going to be buried there?
I have no idea. I guess if you're famous enough, you can kind of get in there.
So I'm wondering if JK is going to be.
I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. But, Big Ben is there and stuff. And they have all these protests going on there, too. Hey, look, guys, Big Ben. Although that roundabout's not there. So that movie's way off on that.
Okay.
That roundabout's nowhere. I looked for it. It's not anywhere close to there. So, yeah, we did all of the London stuff. We went and watched the changing of the guards at Buckingham Palace. We did all of that. So it was well worth the trip. It was Debbie's bucket list.
Sure.
And so we did it. And so we get back home, and Ryan is out of sorts. Guys, my son Ryan has autism, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get a read on him, but I can tell he's kind of mad. He said, well, I wanted to go. And I was like, well, you never said anything. And so now it's like, long story short, if anybody can pump me out, it's my kids. And so, long story short, we have another trip planned for next fall back to England to take the two guys with us. So,
I like it.
But yes, the England trip was very fun. Flying on a plane for that long is not fun.
No.
So,
I don't even like to fly from here to Dallas.
Yeah.
Honestly, and that's 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. A lot less if they got to
down.
get. What's funny is they said, we're going to be reaching an altitude of 26,000 feet. And if you're flying from Little Rock to Dallas, they get to 26,000 feet and then they start angling down.
That's what I'm saying. You're up.
Because
and then
you're up and down. Yeah, it's like puddle jump.
I remember me and Cindy flew down to Orlando a long time ago. But I haven't flown that many times, And they said we're fixing to hit our last waypoint before we make our final approach into Orlando. And I had a window seat, and about the time he said that, I looked out, and there's a Delta jet going the other direction, and we passed each other. Yeah, it was like that, and I looked at him and I said, we are hauling ass.
Yes, you are. You're going about 500-600 miles an hour.
It's crazy.
So when we went over, we flew over on American Airlines, and it was an overnight. Well,
yeah,
technically it was an evening time flight, and the route that American took coming in was like we flew up over New England, Nova Scotia, and then out over the Atlantic, and we didn't see land until we hit Ireland. Okay, British Airways, who we flew on the way back, which by the way, I give them kudos for being, I hate to say it, for on a long flight, I'll fly British Airways anytime. They were much better. But when they took off, I was going, well, that's weird, because they start angling straight north. We fly over Scotland, and then we start turning, and because they have that little screen there, it shows you where you're at, and we fly over Iceland, and then we fly like over Greenland. Coming in, it's like we're above the Arctic Circle.
That's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Of course, I didn't have a window seat, so I couldn't see anything.
That sucks.
But yeah. But anyway, yeah, it was okay. I always love going on vacation, but I always love getting back home.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad y'all made it back safe.
Yeah,
for sure.
Me too. And I was going to say, what I am sorry about is you went through everything when I was gone. You can't plan that stuff, but that's kind of how. But
neither one of those two people would have been upset if your trip would have been canceled. That's not cool. Yeah. So they want you to have fun, both of them. So,
but I will say getting around that English food varied wildly in how good it is.
It's good.
They do Indian food like nobody else. If you don't like it over here, you'll probably like it over there.
I don't like it.
I've
had 2 or 3 dishes, and
it's kind of like going over there to get Mexican food. They have a lot of Indian people as a part of their population, and so their Indian food is fantastic. They do fried fish. Fish and chips is a thing. It was great. They do Cornish pasties. If you can get one of those, it's a pot pie you can hold in your hand. Nothing wrong with that. But all in all, I'm going to be honest with you. Some of the best food I had. Debbie and I were caught out one day, and we were starving, and we needed a place quickly. And there was a KFC right there, and they still did KFC that tasted like KFC back in the day. And it was fantastic.
Sweet.
Yeah. So,
Well,
yeah.
A little taste of home.
Little taste of home in the midst of all that. But, yeah. So, folks, welcome. And as we reach towards the end of this episode of the Butch and Chris Show, that's going to take some getting used to saying. But, guys, we want you to, stick around with us. Stay the course here. We promise we're going to be fun.
Maybe.
We will be. We will be, sir. This is mandatory. This is mandatory fun. I have the spreadsheet of joy, and we shall follow it. Guys, ButchandChris.com is where you can go to find out all about this here podcast. Listen, we love you. Take care.
Have a great day, guys.